Alrighty then, so I was originally doing a Q6600 overclock video and putting a GTX 1050 Ti with the system, and I was going to film a bunch of results with that. But some deals came up in my local area that I just couldn't pass up. We have an Ryzen 5 3600 in a 5700X 3D box, and we also have this entire gaming system sans storage. There is no storage in this one. The dude wanted to keep his solid state drive and hard drive, but that's not a problem. And it is very dusty and is in dire need of a clean. Having said that though, I did have a look. It is a 1070 8GB, which is still a super solid budget, affordable 1080p gaming GPU. As for the CPU, I believe it's meant to be an i7, but he doesn't know for sure. Don't know about the RAM, don't know much about the entire system as it is. But, you know, there's some stickers on it, some wear, doesn't look amazing. But we're gonna crack this open, give it a clean, and yeah, we'll see what needs to be fixed, what needs to be repaired. We'll add some storage to it, we'll, you know, bump it up a bit. I'm really hoping though that the 1070 works. Definitely needs a clean. Oh my god. That's bending in the slot like crazy. I'm really hoping this still works. It smells like a deep fryer, but let's not judge. We're not judging. Seems to be a Corsair case fans, Corsair RAM. It's probably going to be a Corsair water cooling system as well. MSI GTX 1070 8GB. Would have liked a 1070 Ti, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. And does it have Wi-Fi? I don't know. But I'm gonna give this a clean. I'm gonna actually test the, see if the 1070 works first. But yeah, we'll definitely give this a clean. I mean, look at that. Horrid. Lucky I have an air compressor that is great for cleaning this. Just keep in mind though, if you're gonna clean out fans and stuff like that, hold the fans down. Don't let them just spin freely. Nasty. MSI motherboard, what is that? Z170A, so we're probably looking at 6th gen Skylake or 7th gen, which is Kaby Lake. This is so gross, but in my inspection of this, I did notice that there is a hard drive there. I'm hoping it's a Western Digital Blue SSD, but I'm pretty sure it's a 2.5 inch hard drive. So I'll have to clean this out a little more, air compress it all up. I'm just glad it has some storage because he did say in the listing that no storage was included, so he must have maybe forgotten to take that out. Ah, so he's a sticker bloke. Interesting. So I took off the back panel and we can see that this is a Tough Power 650 watt gold rated power supply. Not too bad, and upon further inspection it is a SSHD and then just your standard hard drive, so not too bad. He may have just taken out his like SSD, might have formatted them or something. We'll find out soon enough, but overall I'm pretty stoked because I can just install Windows 11 on this system, hopefully. Okay, so I just want to say this is such a gross system. I'm gonna need the longest shower ever after I finish with this one. It definitely looks a lot better than it did. What the hell? This is running? So I haven't tried it with the GPU just yet, but so far, this is looking very promising. What the hell? Okay, so it's not powering up with the GPU in the PCIe times 16 slot, or at least the first one. So I'm gonna try it in the 16 slot below that, hopefully. I really hope the GPU isn't dead. So we're definitely making progress. It may just be that these are the wrong PSU cables. I'm not entirely sure, but we're definitely making some progress. I may try installing the GTX 1070 in my own personal system, see if it works there, because The GPU is the component everybody really cares about when it comes to these videos. But I'm genuinely curious to see how we can solve this. Well, there's your problem. The moment of truth. Let's go! Will it display? Will it display? I suppose we haven't... Oh, come on. Yes! It worked. After some painstaking work, we've done it. I've actually managed to get it up and running. And the only thing that I'm not sure as to whether or not it runs is this 1TB WD Blue SSHD. So I've had to put in my own 120GB SSD, but apart from that, this is as it came to me, completely not working. And it turns out it's got an i7-6700K. You can overclock that and get some great performance out of it still, which is still great in 2024 for, you know, budget to mid-range gaming, especially at 1080p, 16 gigs of RAM. Look at those speeds though. Maybe we can bump those up a little as an OC. 2TB hard drive, 120GB SSD that I put in, and GTX 1070. Wow, all that for $200. Plus like the 10, 15-ish dollars that I put in for my own SSD. That is one hell of a deal. I'm just gonna get this Windows update finished and then we can play some games. But considering this is an actual gaming computer for a change, I expect we'll get some decent performance, obviously. I used to have a 1070 Ti in my main rig, so high hopes for this system. Just overclocked the CPU to 4.8 gigahertz. This is very nice. I did try 5, I must admit, I tried 5, but I couldn't get it stable, but it seems pretty stable at 4.8 gigahertz. Yeah, pretty simple. It's got water cooling. Wow, an all-in-one, but that still counts. So let's try some games. Okay, so we are at 1080p medium settings, I would say. Yeah, middle of the road settings here. So still reasonably intensive. 260-ish frames per second on average, I'd say. Let's do the benchmark run now and see how we go. Now, obviously, different areas of the game are going to produce different frame rates, so that's just with any game that you could possibly play. Well, it's definitely playable. I mean, you could probably even bump it up. Let's try 4K. Let's keep these settings and just like render it up to 4K. Playable at 4K, but I expected it would have been. WoW Classic is such a great game for benchmarking. Alright, so you can play it at 4K. The 1070 still has life left in it. I mean, I wouldn't want to be playing any AAA titles at 4K with this, but if you have a 4K monitor and you just want to play WoW Classic at like medium settings, 4K, you'd absolutely be able to do it. Well, the experience playing Tony Hawk's Underground 2 is night and day in comparison to where we were at with the GT610. It is a night and day experience. As you can see from the footage here, the game is running flawlessly. If I'm nitpicking though, it's running a little too fast, and just a couple of tweaks with the FPS limiter inside the PS2 emulation software would help out immensely. But yeah, Tony Hawk's Underground 2, this one's a classic, it's running really well, and aside from my inability to play the game, and that can be sorted out a little later, but yeah, this one's running flawlessly. Burnout 3 Takedown is also running very well. I'm using the 60Hz mode instead of the 50Hz mode. I think the 50Hz mode would have been a little more smooth in that if you're playing at 60 Hz with these PS2 games, they can seem like they're running way too quick. And again, you can either do that by selecting the 50 Hz mode before you start the game, or by using the FPS limiter inside the PS2 emulation software. But this one is another flawless experience, and yeah, we're just getting some good takedowns here. The game's running well. What a classic, 2 classics in a row. Well, aside from putting the case back on and, trying to get rid of that fryer smell out of the system, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, for $200, we got an absolute bargain here. $200 Australian, obviously. If you want to see any games in particular tested out with this setup, let me know in the comments below. I mean, apart from putting in some better RAM, it's pretty good. It's, I think the best CPU for that particular motherboard is the i7-7700K, but apart from finding one of them and paying like $500 for it, which I'm not going to do, it's not that much of an upgrade over the 6700K. But apart from that, and maybe some RAM and some different storage, it's pretty good. Let me know if you want to see anything in particular tested out on it. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Had a lot of fun.